goals and turn, defeats into draws into victories. We know we need a left winger. We know beyond Bukayo Saka and now the young 17-year-old Ethan, we don't know what we're getting from these attackers. So we didn't handle those two things. We left ourselves short in the summer. Last season, we did have a clear run with injuries, even though Partey, Timber, and I believe Tomiyasu were injured. Every question that we potentially could ask ourselves as Arsenal fans has been answered. We all been saying, what happens if Odegaard ain't at it or he gets injured? What happens to Benjamin White? What are we going to do with Bukayo Saka? What if Kai Havertz, who whatever people have to say, has been scoring a lot more than his teammates, doesn't do his thing? And we've seen all of this. So the summer window, I think where you look at it from a fan's point of view, you'd be mistaken. Personally, I feel in hindsight, looking at it, it was just about, PSR and making sure we tick those sort of boxes. And it's really the remit, I believe, for Arteta was just getting Champions League. We got ourselves to January. And obviously, with the amount of injuries, you could be forgiven for assuming, surely, even though they don't want to do anything in January, surely this can't go on. And nothing happened, Dan, man. There's no boost. We're still relying on what we're relying. Martinelli's now injured. So we're at where we're at, man. And, I've seen Mikel Arteta twice last year say we've got the smallest squad. In the build-up to the City game, he came out and said, we came into this season with 19 players, 3 or 4 long-term injuries, trying to compete in 4 competitions. Now, I'm no expert on maths, but that doesn't sound right. So we're at where we're at. We haven't controlled the controllables. We've made a sideward step. We haven't really kicked on. Again, you was hoping that the existing players would go find another level. The additional quality would make a difference. I'm a big fan of Calafiori, but even with the injuries and stuff, all of the summer signings, give or take with the loanees, Dan, none of them are really in anyone's thinking where the starting 11 is. Big up Lewis Skelly. He's taking Calafiori's spot. So we didn't get any level raises. We didn't marry the depth. And everything's come, all the, chickens have come to roost, really. And we're in the mess we're in, which I'm sure we're going to get into. So, yeah, I know I rambled on, but I think that's the easiest one I could answer for you, Dan, man. It's disappointing.
What's frustrating is it shouldn't be the easiest question to answer, and it sucked. Move on. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what it is.
Yeah.
You all know it sucked, bruv, but where you pointing the fingers here? Because this is the summer and the January transfer now. A lot of people used to say it was Edu who was the issue. He's now gone, and it's still happening. So it can't be Edu as the issue. We've had a worse window we've had in a long time. In fact, we've had the 2 worst windows in the club's history in a long, long time. So where's your fingers pointing, bruv?
I think it's a case of, for a club that tells me, it's a collaborative thing and I'm no fly on the wall at London Coley, I don't think you can just blame the Cronkies. I don't think you can just blame Arteta. I don't think you can just blame Jason Ito or Edu. I think everybody's in it. I think Arteta has his clear remit of players he wants, and he kind of is, I don't really think he's really down for pivoting. It's like I either get that player or nothing. So I have to point the question, those above him, did you provide him with decent options? Potentially he could have calmed that down a bit and been a bit more open. As much as I want to blame the Cronkies, and I think they're an issue at this football club, if they sit here and say, Dan and DG, I hear what you're saying, you'll never like me, but we've backed this manager, we've given him a new deal, we let him sign goalies galore, left backs galore, we've given him a budget, and he hasn't got too much bang for his buck. And again, we ain't got a sporting director. So Dan, I'm at the point where I always give the example, when I used to play with my cousins at my grandma's house, a big family, and someone used to break something, everyone used to get beats. Nobody used to get asked who did what. So I'm with everyone, Dan, man. Everyone's in it together, man, at the end of the day. In the same way that if you blew me out the water with a signing in Jan, I would have said fair enough. And we always hear things about we want the special player, and you know all the buzzwords they say, yeah. Big up Ollie Watkins. I would have had him. I know he's 29, turning 30 and all of that. But for what they tell us and what they try to do with Ollie Watkins, that tells me that, you're kind of being hypocritical in a sense. And for me, again, I can't sit here and tell you the names, Dan, but if you've got 40 million for Ollie Watkins to at least bid, whether it's PR or not, surely you've got 40 million to find a player that can bring something to the table. Look at our attacking options. We've probably got the most faith in young Ethan, and he's 17. It's a big burden on his shoulders. Is there no one that can help share that? I don't know, Dan, man, but I think everyone's to blame, man. Everyone, man. Everyone.
I think you're right, bruv. I think you're right. And unfortunately, we're in a position now where we're going to be kind of stuck, because I don't think anything's going to be changing in the coming months, the coming seasons. I think what we have got right now is what we're going to be stuck with. And I'm including Jason Ito in that as well. This guy's done absolutely nothing these windows. And unfortunately, we're being told that he's done a good job. Wow, this guy's bought nobody in. He sold nobody. we're being told that he's going to be the guy to potentially become our sporting director. And now, surely we need somebody in for that, man. You mentioned something interesting, though, the Ollie Watkins situation. Now, Sammy McBell has come out, and as has David Ornstein. And what makes me laugh is when the window shuts a few days later, they all come out and they find out what really happened and what went wrong. Personally, I feel like there's an absolute joke of the amount of people, like, let's be real, that come out with this absolute nonsense, and none of them actually have a clue. What do you make of this Watkins deal? Because if it's true that we put in a bid of 45 million, they wanted 60, it's a disgrace to think that Eddie Nketiah went for 30 and we're already putting 45 in for Ollie Watkins. Do you think there was a breakdown in communication? Do you think we really wanted him? Do you think Arteta actually did want him and someone else didn't? Like, where are you at with this Watkins deal and why it didn't happen, bro?
I think we tried to be a bit cute and clever. I mean, it's like what you say. We'll never know who's really telling the truth with the PR and all of these things, because they've clearly got insiders with the club. But for me personally, I think we tried to be a bit too smart. You know, clearly Aston Villa needed to sell a player. We probably sat there and said, you know what? Duran's 21 years of age. Maybe if we go for the older Ollie Watkins, we try and be a bit cute and clever with bidding 40. I'm not necessarily for paying 60 million for Ollie Watkins on the best of days, but at the end of it, you know, we're trying to claw back our season. You might have to overpay. My thing is that it's just a mess, Dan. It's very reactive. It's like we're trying to be cute and clever and outsmart the market. Just take that for, if you don't want to pay that for Ollie Watkins, find something else. And that's where I'm at then. Like, again, I said it on your channel. I'm all for, if you want to go for Ollie Watkins, if you want to go for Sesko, this one, that one, by all means, go and try and get it done. But once you can't get that done, I need you to pivot. I don't want to hear we tried. Against Newcastle, we couldn't go, hey, we tried, get warmed up. We're trying to score 2 goals from this. It's nonsense. And for me, it just tells us that it's just about top 4. We all know there's no resale value and all of that jazz with Ollie Watkins. But the results on the pitch, the Premier League, etc., is to account any at this football club, if I'm honest with you, Dan, man. It's jarring. It's always next year.
Man. It's to account any year. And unfortunately, the fan base lapped that up. They think that they're the Arsenal accountants. Look, I don't give a damn how much we spend. I don't care. They give a damn how much you put people on wages. Just get me the players coming into this team to improve it. And they failed in all departments in the summer and the January transfer window. And people will say, what do you mean they failed in the summer? They failed in the summer because none of these players they brought in could get into a side that faced Manchester City.
They failed from a front, 1,000,000%.
Brother, how can you have 4 of your signings and none of them are playing in the semi-final of a cup competition or against Manchester City, your so-called rivals? That's mad. That means you've not improved your side at all. It means you've tried to bulk up your squad, but you've failed at it. Because these players that have come in, Neto has not improved our squad, let alone our first 11. Sterling, likewise, has not improved our squad, let alone our first 11. And Calafiori and Marino can't get into our first 11 ahead of a 17-year-old, in Ethan Waneri and Lewis Skelly. So you can't tell me that this has been money well spent. And you add up what we've spent there. I would rather, I've spent 100 million on a striker than get all of those 4 players this summer. I would much rather have done that. Because now we're in the scenario where Havertz basically is up top on his own. If he gets injured, we're screwed. Trossard would then have to go in there. We'd have Ethan Waneri, Sterling and Trossard. We're 1 injury away from having that as our front 3. It is absolutely shambolic to be going down that line. And we're going into the most important part of the season for a Champions League and a Premier League. And do you know what it tells me, bruv? White flag. They've waved it. We'll do it next season. We've given up on this season.
On the money.
Let's go.
Bang on. Because it just tells me everything that, like, as much as I don't think the summer was a success or January, they're clearly judging it by different metrics, innit? I'm talking those above Mikel Arteta. It's clearly just balancing books. Where I don't want to say we're a shoo-in for top 4 because life will humble you. I know there's been a lot said about staying humble, but it looks like we're a shoo-in for top 4. We all know the context behind the semi-finals, but we did get to a semi-finals. We did go out to Manchester United in the FA Cup, and the Champions League's the Champions League. That's the way they're looking at it. We clearly have enough in their minds to just purely get top 4. Those above Mikel Arteta don't want to push on. Now, for Mikel Arteta, I think his heart's in the right place, but clearly you're going about it the wrong way. You haven't built the squad specifically under the remit of being Premier League winners in the best possible way. I can waffle about the cronkies and that, but it's all about controlling the controllables. The money you've spent, we haven't got as much bang for our buck. And in the last 2 years, you know what? Big up the rebuild. But I have to judge everybody connected to this football club a lot harsher when it comes to winning a Premier League or doing what we want to do. And we haven't done enough. Like, there's going to be too much regret. It's upsetting, man. Like, I do think they'll look at it from a successful point of view in terms of the balance books, but in terms of sporting success, it's another year going waiting, done, man. We hope for to be proven wrong, but boy, it's not looking good.
Let's just touch on that front line, bro, before we get into the games the other
Go ahead,
night
man.
and moving forward. We've got Trossard, we've got Martinelli, we've got Sterling, we've got Saka, we've got Waneri, Erdegaard, and Havertz, right? And Jesus. We've got Jesus out. He's not coming back this season. I don't think we're going to see much of Saka this season either. Martinelli has just been gone down. I imagine that'll be a few weeks out. Maybe he'll go to Dubai and get some rehab, and we'll see him for the Leicester game on the bench, but I doubt it very much, and I want to make sure that he's 100% fit. At the moment, it means we've got Trossard, we've got Waneri, and we've got Havertz, which is basically our front three. Sterling is the only one that can come on from the bench, and obviously Erdegaard starts in that kind of attacking role. We are literally down to bare bones, bruv, and we have had 2 windows that have passed us. A window in the summer that has allowed us to do nothing in that attack area, and then when we get it wrong and say, do you know what? Yeah, we might not have the guy out there yet, but maybe we will in the next window. We then, on top of that, get Saka and Jesus and now Martinelli injured on top of that, and we do nothing. That, to me, is hedge need to roll, is sackable offences. But I look at the front line right now, and I actually don't have any faith in trying to stick up for anyone to say that this is not the worst or one of the worst attacks in the Premier League. Like I look at it and I think, yeah, there's only maybe 5-6 teams in this Premier League that would take our front man. Like when I say that, Ipswich wouldn't even take him. Liam Delap, they'll keep him. Now we'll have him, thanks. Yeah. The only teams I think are maybe Southampton, maybe Fulham, because Jimenez is a good player, but would they take Havertz? Maybe they would, maybe they
even
wouldn't.
got Munoz though.
Yeah. They got Munoz as well, right? So maybe they wouldn't. I look potentially at Everton. I think they probably would. Yeah. And we're going right down here. Southampton, Everton. Like if we're going down to these levels. Yeah. Wolves, would they? I think they'd be quite happy with Larson and Cunha, to be honest. Brighton, they wouldn't. Brentford, they wouldn't. Who else have we got?
Definitely
Bournemouth,
Brentford wouldn't, man.
Forest wouldn't. Spurs even wouldn't. United would. That's about it. Like
I'm going to say Spurs would because the game's the game, but I hear it. Like it's a madness.
What are we doing here, man? Like, how are we in a situation we're supposed to be going for a title, and if Saka right now isn't in the side, which he isn't, I don't think anyone's taking this front three in the Premier League, and that is scary, DG.
It's scary, and those above Mikel Arteta, obviously Mikel Arteta's got a lot to blame, but if we really wanted to win trophies, and I'm talking about the Kronkers, if the remit was genuinely to win trophies, we don't get into this. Right now, unfortunately, there's a lot of explaining and context. There's not really results-driven basis going on where the recruitment is. Listen, Kai Havertz isn't my cup of tea. We're at where we're at with Kai. I think he's pulled his weight a lot more than a lot of his attackers. I think we've drawn enough blood from that stone. I feel an initial short-term option in Kai Havertz going up front has become a long-term solution. So I've got past the point of Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz has never shown me you're a clinical man. So I can't expect you to do the business. And if you're pulling your weight a lot more than everyone else, what does it say about the players we have? What does that say about the recruitment? What does that say about how we're really trying to fight for this league trophy? I feel so like it's a mess, Dan. Like it's an absolute mess. It's just a shambles, man. Like we don't have the number 9. We don't have the depth. Obviously, Saka's injured. Our faith is really with a young Ethan, and there's a lot of variables that would have to fall into place that are out of our control for us to be proven wrong and to win a Prem or a Champions League. And this is what I mean by I don't feel the club, those above Mikel Arteta, genuinely want to win silverware because you don't end up in this situation. Fair enough to go back to the Ollie Watkins thing. You can say he's 29 and all of that stuff and he's not in your remit. But sometimes there has to be exceptions to the rule. I'm not necessarily saying that is Ollie Watkins. And I know it's not the same. But I'm sure at Man United, when they signed Van Persie, they said, oh, he's 29, he's this, the other. They won 2 Premier Leagues or a Premier League or something like that. I don't think they care about his age. We sold ourselves short. And as you know, Dan, when you're got a small squad, the players that are durable, you're running them into the ground. You know, Saka, Benjamin White, Kai Havertz, Declan Rice, they're probably some of our more durable players. They've been injured this season. You know, I think a better question would be who hasn't been injured at the moment at this club? Really, because even Ethan's had a knock. Lewis Skelly's had a knock. Calafiori's been having knocks. Tommy Assi, we don't know where you are. Benjamin White, we've been due this for a number of years. Probably just Raya. In fact, well, I don't know if it's true, but the Girona game, Arteta was saying Raya's got a knock. So, yeah, every potential question that we've spoken about for the last 2 years and probably had in the summer, we've seen it, man. It's a madness.
Look, man, they're off in Dubai now. It's a reward for going out of cups. I don't like it. It's pissed me off that they get to go to Dubai. But there's a lot of fans that are happy with it. Get them in Dubai. We know what happened last time. They're going to go on this 14-game win streak after that.
I certainly hope so now, Dan, man.
Well, do you know what? And I said this last night, and I'll say it again, brother, and I'll throw this to you. We better. Don't dare go and drop points at Leicester or West Ham after you've been sunning it up in Dubai, Arsenal. Don't dare. Because this is one of the biggest risks now that Mikel Arteta has given them all a holiday. Because I want to see a reaction. I don't want to see us coming down more of the same from what I've seen against Newcastle, against Leicester and West Ham. We drop points against teams like that. And I mean, forget about the title race, in my opinion, anyway, but we're definitely done and dusted then. And then what happens? It's all on the Champions League. We've got to try and do what we didn't do against Leicester and West Ham, against Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, Liverpool, Barcelona. Bruv, I'll tell you this now, fam. If we do not get back from this Dubai in some form of improvement and we look to be fluid and we look to be scintillating, I'm sorry, man, but I don't get how anyone can sit there and defend what's happening, bro. But what are you saying about the Dubai trip and what you're going to see after that, man? Then we'll come to Newcastle.
Broski, again, I'm with you. I don't think it can be. I don't think Mikel Arteta and the boys can think it's a holiday. Yeah, we'll probably see images of them having dinner and things. We're not. There's no way we can be in holiday mode. You know. Again, when I think of Dubai, I think of extreme heat. You lot need to be doing hella cardio in the sun. You lot need to do whatever you did last year. You need to do it again because the pressure's on. Because obviously, as football fans, we live in hope. There's going to be optimistic Arsenal fans that are going to say, as you just said there, last season we went to Dubai, we came back with different energy. Hope that happens. It has to. What we need to do right now is consider the good and the bad. Like if I put myself in their shoes, I can be hella disappointed about my season. End of the day, it's happened now. If there's any positives, take the positives and make them great. The evident areas of improvements need to be improved. But yeah, they need to come back with do or die mode, really, because it's very improbable that we win silverware. But as long as there's still a chance, I don't want to see a single one of those players believe that it's done. Dubai can't be a holiday. It can't be. As you said, we need to come back and be serious because it's one thing speaking about, oh, maybe David Moyes can do something for Everton against Liverpool. We've got to play Liverpool at Anfield. They might drop points, but we have no margin for error. We've seen a couple of times Liverpool have stumbled this season and we haven't taken advantage. For a team that talks about fine margins, we're never on the right side of them, unfortunately.
Rather, there's a lot of people in the chat saying reward failure, and I can't even sit there and deny that is what we've done. You know, everybody else is FA Cup weekend mindset, and we're like, let's get over to Dubai. Now, look, I've got no problem with people taking breaks. I've got no problem with people like refreshing and recharging the batteries, but it just kind of leaves a bad sour taste in my mouth, bruv, when we've gone out of these two cups yet again for how many consecutive seasons? God knows how many now. And I'm sitting there believing...
last one, the FA Cup, innit?
Yeah, 2020, right? COVID. So we've got 5 years now where we've not done anything in domestic cups. And we've gone out to Dubai to say, right, go and rejuvenate, go and get warm weather training, go and get yourself refreshed. It's like, wow, bro, I felt the way I felt the other night. I would have been sending them to bloody Jaywick, bruv. Like real talk. It's just like
cancel the holiday. Don't deserve to be a holiday.
Yeah, go down to Seawick or Jaywick Sands and have a holiday. Do you know what I'm saying? Because you don't deserve this Dubai stuff, man. It's absolutely mad. But look, we might as well get onto it, bruv. The Newcastle game was nothing short of a disgrace. I'm not even going to ask any questions, man. What did you make of it?
Bro, it's what I made of it. We're out the competition, innit? Like we're out the competition. I guess there, you know, I do think there was an element of fatigue, but I'm not making no excuses. We were off the pace from minute 0 to minute 1. You know, credit to Newcastle. They did everything I wanted to see in my team. They did it. You would have thought they were 2 goals down. They won their individual and collective battles. Eddie Howe is kryptonite.